So let's start by taking a look at creating your first scene. I'm starting with this base template that you get when you create a content mod. The first thing we'll take a look at is the shadow volume. And by clicking this scene node up here, you can say that we have a property down here called the shadow volume. It's this gray bounding box that we can see in the editor. And this is the area in the game where lighting and shadows will be calculated. But for this example, it's a bit big. So take a look at this ground plane we have. We can see that it is 500 by 1 by 500 voxels. That is 50 by 50 meters. So let's adjust the shadow volume to be the same size. I click at scene node and I change this to 50 by 50 meters. Now we can see that the shadow volume is aligned to the size of our ground plane. But it is 50 meters tall. That's a bit excessive. So let's change it to 20. Now shadows and lighting are only calculated within this box. And choosing the right size for a shadow volume is very important, as the size of the shadow volume affects the performance of the game. So having an unnecessarily large shadow volume is a bad idea. Next, let's take a look at the spawn point. It's this green circle here. We can see in the hierarchy that it currently has no name, but it is of the type spawn point. Let's name it player spawn. This is the position of the player when the level is started. You can change the position of the spawn point by dragging the axis, but also by holding down the P key and clicking. I press F to zoom in on the spawn point. You can hold down Shift and Control to see the rotation of an object in world space. Here we can see that blue, which is the forward axis, is pointing towards the brown wall. If I now press F5, I will start the level. And we are looking straight at the brown wall. I press F4 to get back to the editor. Let's rotate the spawn point so that we look in the other direction when the game starts. I hold down R, which rotates the selected object around its Y-axis. I could also have held down Shift and grab the Y-axis to rotate around. Now if we press F5, we are facing away from the brown wall. Next, let's take a look at the environment. This is the node that controls the lighting, the sun position, the backdrop, and all of those things for the scene. If we start the game, we can see that the sun is approximately 45 degrees off from the map. We can go back to the editor, select environment, and type 45 to rotate the skybox 45 degrees. Now when I get back to the game, we can see that the sun has moved from approximately here to here. Another very useful node is the boundary node. It's not in the template by default, so let's create one. I select the scene node, right click, and select New, Boundary. Here we can see that this yellow line has been added to the level. I can drag these vertices and drag it slightly into the map like this. And now when I start the game, we can see that we have a boundary that the player can't move out of. New vertices can be created by clicking the line of the boundary. And a vertex can be removed by dragging it onto another existing vertex. Like that. Next, let's take a look at adding water to the scene. If I select the ground plane, then I hold down S and drag one of these axes. I will also make it thicker. And move it up a little bit. Now it's hiding my brown wall, so let's select it. And I hold down P and I click in the scene. I do the same for the spawn point. I click it to select it, hold down P and press to place it. Now let's select the scene node again. Right click, New, and select Water. Now I have added water to the scene. And like any other object, it can be moved up and down, left and right. And even the size of the water can be changed. 100 by 100 meter. So it's extending a little bit outside our level. We also have depth of the water. Now let's take a look at our scene. And here we have water. We have the boundary. And we have an environment. And that's the basis for setting up a scene in Teardown.